Hello. Hello, everybody. This is the Perch here from the Perchy TV. We've got a special guest today. My mate Ken has turned up. Big Brentford fan in one of the worst shirts I've ever seen, by the way.
Up the
How you doing, mate? How you
Yeah,
doing, mate?
good. How are you,
Welcome
Perchy?
welcome to the channel. So it's a pleasure to have you on. I think we can start getting right into it. There's a lot of stuff going on with your club and my club as well. So I think we can really start digging into it. So let's start and go on the first point. Before we start talking about the game, the news that came out, was it yesterday? Ivan Toney banned for 8 months, my friend. What's your thoughts on it? Tell me.
Well, I think the first thing you've got to say is the rules are the rules. I don't know what he's bet on, but he's probably bet on himself scoring penalties, which seems a pretty fair bet most of the time.
Yeah.
But the rules are rules. He's broken the rules. He's got an 8-month ban. It is what it is. You can't really do much about that. But I think the only issue I have is the rules. I mean, you've got 8 months ban for someone who's done a few bets yet. You have someone who's a rapist who.
Well, yeah, of course.
Well, no, sorry. Let me reword that. Sorry, someone who's been accused.
Allegedly, this is all allegedly on this channel. We're not here. There's no prosecution. But yes, I get your point. There's other crimes that have been committed. There's other crimes that have been committed by potential crimes by the people that have alleged allegations and stuff. And I actually feel a bit sorry for him. And I genuinely do. I feel genuinely sorry for Ivan Toney because I think there is a big thing about it, stigma when it comes to football players. Oh, they've got loads of money and all that lot. But a lot of these players have to go. I spoke about it to someone about it, and I just went, these lads have got loads of money, but they can't really do much with it in a lot of sense, short-term base. So they go to training, then they go home and they sit there and go, I've got a load of money, so I can put £1,000 on so-and-so. And every football club has got a betting sponsor plastered over theirs. Yours does, and loads of others do across the Premier League and stuff, and not just the Premier League and the Championship across it and stuff. So I do understand. I think there's got to be a lot more protection for these players and stuff. And other players have obviously gone down the same sort of routes and that side of things. So I do feel genuinely sorry for the lad. But what does that put you? Where does that put you guys on a footballing basis? Obviously he's your best goal scorer. Does that mean you guys are going to have to dip into the market and go, do you know what? We're going to have to sign someone either short term or maybe a year's loan, and then you've got someone long term like that to the end of the season.
The one thing myself and many other Brentford fans and what we've learned over the last 7 or 8 years, what we've learned is not to worry about things like this. I mean, if I go back through the years, Andre Gray, 20 plus goals in the season, sold. Everyone thinking we're doomed. It didn't matter because Scott Hogan steps up. Scott Hogan scores for fun, sold. Everyone's worried, but it didn't matter because Malpai stepped up.
Yeah.
Malpai goes, Watkins then comes in.
Yeah.
Watkins then goes and Toney comes in. So, we have an unbelievable conveyor belt of strikers that can always fill that void. So where does it leave us? Well, we've got two options. I do think we need to invest in a striker. And we've always thought that. What happens the day when Toney gets injured? And if you think about it, it's an 8-month ban, but you could just pretend in your mind it's a long-term injury.
It's not. It's an 8-month ban, but if you minus the sort of 2 months in, it's what, 6 months?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's no different to him going out last week and breaking a leg. It's one of those things.
We've lost Bentancur. He won't be back until December end of the year anyway. So I see the point on the injury side of things.
But in terms of do we go out and replace him, I think we do. But at the same time, we do have a man who's lined up to take that role in the team at the moment, which is Kevin Shard. So whether he's ready to fill those boots, I think it probably is a tad too early for him. But I think with a pre-season under his belt, he could well be that man. But I don't know. I'm undecided if I'm honest, but I think we will need at least one more striker, because the other man is Johan Wissa, and if I'm honest, I love the guy. He scores many important goals, but he's not the man to take us into that sort of land of qualifying for European places. You know, solid player, but yeah. So I would be investing in a striker, but it could be a loan. A loan could be the answer.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate. I always say about Brentford, always said, I mean, we talk off stream, we talk a lot and stuff about it. And I always say there's always a thing about Brentford is they never really get it wrong with a transfer. So if someone comes in, you could normally, very rarely do they go, oh, do you know what? He's been a bit of a flop. I mean, some people are sort of saying Damsgaard is, but for me, I look at it long term, I go, he's a good player. Like, so, but yeah, for me, I can't see where you guys get where it goes wrong. I think you'll go, and if it was me, I would go short-term loan, 6-month loan, or go a 12-month loan.
Well, the one thing we always do and surprise people with, we don't buy finished article players. We buy players who are a lot earlier in the curve. And actually, the question will be, how far along are those players in the curve at the moment? The likes of Damsgaard, you know, you've got Keane Lewis-Potter, who's been injured. There's Kevin Shard, as I mentioned, you know. And these are players who are now going to step up and really show their worth and nail that first team spot. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if at least 2 of them did. Damsgaard's already starting to show what he's all about, whilst he's had a very slow start, you know. Absolutely bossed it against West Ham the weekend. So, you know, I'm not too worried, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a sign of what we've done for many, many years now. And it is actually a sign of that. So, you know, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. Jack's put a great point in here. Does the ban give a chance for a bigger club maybe to swoop in and sign him in the summer, knowing he's out for the first half of the season? Do you think that could be something that could happen, or do you think? Personally, no, I don't think so. I think no one's going to touch him now.
This is the funny thing. So if Tony didn't get a ban, I would be saying right now he'll be gone in the summer, and he'll be gone for a long fee, and goodbye Tony, because that's how we operate. You know, we follow the Brighton model. That's the fact of the matter. But I think I think getting him on the cheap is a bit too strong. But does it knock a bit of money off the price? Well, I'm sure it does. You know, but you know, I genuinely believe if he was if he didn't have a ban, I think he'd be going for anywhere between 80 and 90 million this summer. I do think someone like Chelsea would be crazy enough to pay that.
Chelsea's where I thought.
Yeah, I'd probably say it probably knocks about. I think realistically, we would probably knock about 10 to 20 million pound off the price if we were going to sell him. And some people would say, oh, well, no, he's going to be way cheaper than that. And, you know, that's what some people might well think. But I'm looking in the eyes of Brentford and the board and what they'd value. There's no way they would let a star player go for any less than, like Tony, 60, 70 million. Just can't see it. And at the end of the day, he's still got 2 years left on his contract. And I think that might include a year option, but I can't remember. But it's a minimum of 2 years anyway. So we're not quite at that last saloon 1 year left yet. And if it was 1 year, you know, that would obviously severely impact the price. You'd be looking at about, you know, 20, 30 million, I think, to get him. But yeah.
I think I personally, I don't think going, and I think you touched on a good point I've made about other clubs in the Premier League now. And I think Brentford now, I would consider them now in that established bracket to a certain extent now. They've been in 2 seasons now, and you can roll on to it. You're definitely obviously going to be next year. So I look at it now in that sort of established thing, and you see established teams now. The Premier League teams now that are in that bracket can turn down. For example, Brentford can turn down 60 million quid. I mean, minus the ban. If we take the ban away, if he didn't have this ban and someone offered him 60 million quid, Brentford would turn it down because they don't need to sell. So when the money starts going into that sort of 80, 90 million, then they go, do you know what? For 90 million quid, we can go and buy a better player for less than half the price, and we'll just rinse and repeat sort of thing. But I think at the moment now, with the way that the Premier League is now, with all the money that is in the Premier League, clubs like Brentford, whereas before when it was maybe 15 years ago, the club like Brentford in the Premier League would have to sell to a big boy. Doesn't happen as much now. look, I remember a few years back. He plays for us now, Richarlison, when Everton crazily turned down £100 million for him on deadline day from Barcelona. I mean, the fact that they're able to. They could probably have taken that money now with the financial situations they're in. But it's a sense of the Premier League the way it is now. Like that, there is enough money in there. There is enough money and Brentford are reaping the rewards of it, finishing in mid-tables here and there and stuff. There in that side of things. I don't see Tony going anywhere. I don't think it benefits him. I did actually read enough of the ban. You might know. Does it stop him playing football? Period.
Yeah. Well, apparently he can still play abroad at the moment, but the FA are trying to stop that, from what I read today.
Because that would be, if he could play abroad, that would be something Brentford would do. They'd just loan him out for 6 months,
and then he can train with the team from September, I think. So I don't think it's too bad. But going back onto your point there in terms of us, not having to sell, you're absolutely right. We don't, but we will continue to do that.
Yeah, of course.
The only way we can compete at this level is to sell big, and then in the team. But so someone like Tony, if we sold him for say 60, 70 million, we'd probably reinvest that with 3 bright young players that nobody's ever heard of, which in 2 years' time they'll be triple the price. And that's the only way that is the way we've been able to compete at every level since League One. And that model has to continue, sadly, because it is annoying when you have your best players leaving. But look at Brighton again.
Yeah. Brentford and Brighton are the perfect examples. It's exactly the model that I've been saying that I want at Tottenham. I've been saying it, and people go, "Oh, no," but look at the. And I said no, because it's a strategy, isn't it? So it's rinse and repeat. So we've got a manager. If the manager goes, we'll go on to Thomas Frank in a bit because it's links with him to Tottenham and stuff. But if, for example, the manager goes, you've already got a ready replacement. You go and find someone, put them in, and go boom. Same way, it doesn't matter if it's a right back, left back, doesn't matter what position it is. The Brighton and Brentford models at the moment is where I can see a lot of football moving to. You guys were ahead of the curve way before anyone else was starting to do it. I did want to sort of touch on another sort of connection, Tottenham-Brentford link, is your goalkeeper, David Raya. It looks like he's going now. You've just signed a new goalkeeper for next season?
No, not yet, unless something's happened today. But
I read, is it Flecken? If I'm right in saying?
Yeah, he likes to stay in his goal net. I don't know if you've seen that video. But,
I haven't. I just literally did a bit of a reading on it that Raya is leaving because you've signed a new goalkeeper for about 15 million quid. Yeah,
so Raya will be off. He's a year left on his deal, so it's stupid to keep him and not get anything for him. But I suppose to give, I can see him going to Spurs, but I maybe not so much now. But I've always thought he would go to United. But by looks at it, they want to keep De Gea. So if they keep De Gea, I do think he'll go to Spurs. And I suppose to summarise Raya, he is the most comfortable player with the ball at his feet. He could pick out.
We're desperate for a goalkeeper with a bit of confidence.
Jurgen Klopp described him as a number 10 in goal.
Oh wow!
That's what you get. In terms of everything else about his game, he is superb. He does not make many errors. The only thing he's rubbish at, saving penalties. So I
can't be any worse than Hugo Lloris. I can't remember when he saved one.
I can't
feels like ages when he last.
To be honest, he's been incredible. He's improved so much year after year. 40 million, I think, would be a steal if I'm honest. But yeah, he's ready. He's ready to join a club like Tottenham. So all the best to him. And you'd have a great goalie there if you get him.
Yeah. We're desperate for one. I think for me, I don't want to see Hugo Lloris in goal for us anymore. I think after the Newcastle game, for me, I went, nah, you're the captain, and you've decided, regardless of I will stand and say the PR from the club was that he got an injury. For me, he didn't seem very injured after the game when he had that interview, and for me, the rumours are that he had a spat with a few of the players at halftime and refused to come back out. If that's true, as I said, it's allegedly. If it is true, then for me, you're the captain. Regardless of how bad that performance at St James's Park was, you should be the one coming out. But Fraser Forster, to be fair, has been our signing of the season. That says it all really about how poor our transfer window has been and stuff like that. I was gonna, so David Raya for me, I've said all along. I said it's a bit. You mentioned about 40 million quid. If he's got 1 year left on his contract, and it looks like you have to sell him realistically, you've got another goalkeeper coming in. Could that ponder for you guys that actually, with the likes of Daniel Levy, who we don't have to talk about for a second, I prefer not to. The man decides to negotiate a hard bargain. So is the politest way. I think the Spurs lot in the chat that will start definitely would. I don't see him going for 40 million quid personally.
No, well, I think it's one of those things, isn't it? I say 40 million quid, but that's what I know the club would be looking for. But
yeah.
You know, you and I both know if there's only one interested party who wants to pay 30 million, you know, you're not going to get 40 million. I guess it's all about how many clubs out there are interested. You know, but I do believe at the end of the day, if we didn't get what we want for him, we would just keep him for another year, because actually keeping his services for another year is just as sort of valuable to the club kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, could I see him going for 30 million? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Do I think we'd let him go for 20 million? No, I think we would keep him.
Fair enough. No, that's fair and completely fair in that side of things. I was looking at Genia. I think he would be the right man for us to come in. I think we need a goalkeeper. He's not old, so you've got to keep her long term in that sense. So no, definitely, I think he would be the one. So let's slightly move on to the sort of game in itself and stuff. 2 games left of the season. We can't buy a win, and when we do, we might as well have paid off the referees against Brighton, because how we won that game of football was still a mystery to me, because we were horrendous, and we have been for a while. And from an outsider's perspective, what has been your take of Tottenham this year? Because for me, I think we've genuinely been atrocious. I think we were atrocious under Conte. We were under his assistant Stellini, and I thought we were atrocious. And even under Brian Mason, I think we've not been good either.
Well, I had this chat with someone the other day. I think the problem with Spurs from an outside look is it's been for the last. You're basically reaping not the opposite of rewards. You're reaping the
downfall.
You're reaping the downfall of, since Pochettino kind of, you know, desperately scrambling around to get success in the club. You've gone from, correct me if I'm wrong, you've gone from Pochettino to Mourinho, who will have his own style to play and want to play his own players, etc. To, was it Nuno after Jose?
He made us proud for about 2 months.
So you've gone from Jose to Nuno, who will want his style, to then Conte, who has his own style. The problem with Spurs, I think they've gone for too many strong managers with their own strong styles. That when one's gone out and the new one's come in, the new one's gone, I don't like this way of playing at my own mark. And doing that 3 times over the space of 3 or 4 years, I don't know how you can get any sort of consistency in your play. And you could see it when you watch Spurs play under Poch. You know, you always knew what you were going to get with Spurs, but in the last 3 years, I don't know what your way of playing is, to be honest, other than
neither do I, and I watch us week in, week out.
Get it to Son or try and get it to Kane in the right positions and hope to score. And I think to be honest, having gone through that with my club, because obviously I've supported us for, you know, the last 20 years and watched us from most of those games. The key is to actually stick by a manager and a philosophy.
Yeah.
When that manager goes or moves on, it's all about continuing that same philosophy. The minute you're trying to change, tweak things with new ideas, that's when you just get, you know, too much transition going on in your squad, and you don't know where they're going. And I think for Spurs and Spurs fans, I think it's a time to sort of take a step back and think we need to be patient with our next appointment. If that means going down to like 8th and 9th with some drab football for a bit, you know, you just need to give it a few years. But I get it from both sides, because with a club like yours, if I'm a Tottenham fan, I want success.
Agreed.
I want change. So, from the outside and what I've seen happen at our club, I think that continuity over many years is such a key, and that's something that Spurs haven't had.
But yeah, and to touch on that, I've seen with Brentford though, the thing is the continuity is good because I know what you're saying. I do agree with you in the continuity side, but you're seeing the progression at Brentford. Correct me if I'm wrong, you watched them in League One, you've watched them in the Championship. You've seen the model and the way that you work. You see you're reaping the rewards by seeing it, getting to the playoffs, moving forward into the Premier League, and as I said, realistically, an established Premier League side now, in the sense of it. But for us at the moment, sorry, go mate.
Sorry, I was going to say, and that consistency in philosophy, style of play dates back to 2011. Would you believe? Yeah. Since 2011, each manager that's come in and out that door have all had, subject to a few tweaks here and there, they've all had the same style and what they want to achieve at the club.
Yeah.
And that's always meant that whenever a new manager's come in, we've not seen any sort of major change because it's all been and it's just, there's been minor tweaks, which has then seen the team improve more and more. And I think that's something that you see with Brighton. Brighton's another example. Their play has not changed, like the overall sort of way they play. It's not changed since they were in League One.
Yeah, no, exactly. And also another thing with Brighton's great example was they managed to pick up players from less established leagues where they can get bargains. I mean, look how many of them they've got. And I think Brighton's a great example. Brentford as well, but Brighton's the other on the other side of the coin, so to speak. And it's very similar that they go and sign youngsters from Ecuador, Argentina, and they're picking these lads up and getting them really cheap, letting them loan them out to X, Y, and Z, and then they become the first team. And then the likes of Chelsea will snap them up. The likes of Arsenal, Spurs are snapping up their players. We've got Basuma off them. Arsenal Trossard, and Chelsea got Cucurella, to name a few. And they just reaping the rewards of just good scouting. And I think that's the key part with us at the moment. At Tottenham, I don't know our scouting strategy.
Well, I think the thing with Spurs, Perch, and it'd be interesting to know what you think. I think the thing is, go back to sort of styles of football and styles of play. Players that the likes of Brentford and Brighton have recruited over the years, it's been to fit their style of play.
Yeah, of course.
With the likes of Tottenham and many other big clubs, by the way, it's not just Tottenham.
Yeah.
Like Man United is an absolute prime example. They buy players to transform the team, not to fit style. Now, look at Man City as another example. They buy players to fit a system, not to transform them, and look what's happened to them. So that is where Man City get it right and all the other teams get it wrong. And I don't know what you think, but I think the Spurs, they're in that same bucket as Man United, and I'm trying to think of other big clubs. But I'd say it's yourselves.
Man United, Arsenal, the Chelseas, and that. I know that sort of
Chelsea's
famous top six, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. And the thing is I don't see us. I don't financially competing with the likes of Man City, even Man United for that example, and the same with Chelsea. I don't. I'm one of those. I'm not delusional when I come and think about it. I don't think we're going to financially compete with those teams. However, what I want to see is actually what we're doing is we're not just buying players for the sake of buying players. We're buying players to fit the system, fit the way that we're going to play, and that's why whoever the new manager for me is, I've always said that. And it looks like there's a lot of talks. It's going to be Arne Slot from Feyenoord, who's meant to be the man that's being interviewed at the moment. For me, I've said whoever the next manager is where's the 5-year strategy? What's the 5-year plan? What are we going to do? Listen, I say on streams all the time with people, I said, I'd happily for us to finish mid-table for a couple of seasons if it means that I can see us actually building something. We're going to get rid of so much dross, because the problem is at the moment for us, the players out on loan is monumental. I think if I'm right in saying, and someone in the chat will hit me right, I think we've got nearly 15 players out on loan, maybe even more. And those players need to be offloaded. And the likes of Ndombele, Lo Celso, just to name a couple, high wages. How are we going to offload players on 200 grand a week to anyone outside of England? because at the moment the only teams that can pay those sort of wages, because these players aren't going to leave and get a pay cut, is only the likes in the UK, because in England specifically, because that's where the money is. The likes of teams in Italy, Germany, Spain, and all that lot haven't got the finances to do it. And I think that's the key problem for us, is we've got these lads on really high contracts who are just going, do you know what? I don't care. I'll play the reserves or I'll go out on loan, but I'm not leaving until the contract's over. So you have to take a big risk and go, do you rip these players' contracts up and take a big cut? I don't know. And I think that's where, for us at the moment, as a strategy-wise, we're so far off it because everything's wrong. It's not how we should be operating. And that's our big problem. I'd happily see us sign players for a system than just signing a player. And that's how Brentford have operated for a while. I wanted to move on again slightly, mate, and just sort of move on to a little bit of the game. What your thoughts are, and let's have a bit of a prediction. Let's go on. Tell me, what are your thoughts?
Well, obviously without Tony, the interesting thing for Brentford fans is life without Tony, which we have had games without Tony. And I suppose the key thing without Tony is it forces us to play the ball along the floor a lot more. You know, we can't play that direct football, which we have done and had a lot of success against the top teams in our fairly defensive formation. So I think, to be honest, where in terms of formation, what we're going to play, 4-3-3 is our sort of fluent formation where we play nice football. Tend to play that against the lesser teams, and against the larger teams, it will tend to be 5 at the back, 3 in the midfield, and 2 up top. I think we will stick with 5-3-2. It will be a defensively rigid formation, but we will be forced to play it along the floor to Shard and Boom up top. How do I think we're going to do? Well, it's a massive game for us. I mean, it's a bit of a distant hope, but we do have a chance of qualifying for Europe if we beat you boys on the weekend. I'm going to say I think we'll lose 2-1. I just think if we were at home, I would probably say we would win 2-1. However, away, as much as you know, Tottenham are, you know, I get it's quite a toxic time at the moment. I think
just a bit
have slightly too much for us, if I'm honest. But there is a bit that my brain certainly says 2-1 Spurs, but there is a bit of hope inside my heart that thinks we will, you know, get a sneak win. I mean, it's definitely going to be a tight game. It could really go either. But I think Spurs will have it a little bit too much for us.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, be honest, at the moment, I'm so demotivated watching us at the moment. I think we are really terrible. I think we are at the genuinely. I genuinely think, and I've said it all season. Unless Harry Kane plays out of his skin, we don't win games of football, and it's evident this season. If I this is a question for you. If you took Kane and Son away, who is Tottenham's third top goal scorer? And how many goals have they scored?
Blimey.
Take those 2 out.
Yeah, I didn't know anyone else scored for Tottenham, to be honest.
Exactly.
I don't know. Kulusevski?
Nope.
It's not Richarlison because he can't score.
Nope.
Save his life.
Those 2 have scored combined this season 3 goals. No, sorry. If you count it in the Premier League, 3 goals.
Yeah. Højbjerg?
Nope. He's 4th.
Dyer?
Dyer scored 2.
Oh, okay, I'm getting close.
Mark's gone for own goals, I reckon. I mean, I haven't actually checked the physical stats. It could be.
Yeah, it's probably a good shout. Who's your right back? I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you. Run out of ideas. I don't know. It's
Rodrigo Bentancur, who's been out injured for about 3 months.
Really?
He scored 5 in the league.
Cool. I'm surprised he's made 5 appearances.
Yeah, but no, I think Bentancur's been all right for us this season. I think his injury, though, I'm worried that on a him basis, I think his injury at the moment worries me big time because when you've got the injury that you get a cruise ship, like some players don't even play again after it, and he's out. He's out for 9 months. He's nearly done. So that is a big concern.
What's the score? What's the score going to be?
What do I think it will be? I think from what you've been telling me about how you guys play and what I think it's going to be probably one of the most boring games of football I've ever heard. I mean, we play some of the I honestly, and I say it and I'll say it again, we play the worst football in the league. Like, it's horrendous. Like, if you're going to be playing a defensive system, fine, okay, I'll accept it. But we can't even defend. We concede goals all the time. I think it could be one of those ones. If you guys find a way through us, you could beat us 3-1. But it's a weird one. For me, I sit there and go, but we've got Harry Kane. So I always go, we've got Harry Kane. So we've always got a chance to win a game of football because we've got Harry Kane. And as I said, if he turns up and he's the sort of player that would go and hit a hat-trick on the weekend, but he's also the guy that may not score because he's got no service and we lose the game 2-0. So I honestly don't know. I'm going to sit on the fence and say it'll probably be a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, well, I think if I was to sort of highlight the main danger from our side this weekend, it will be the front two. There's Mbumo, but the main one will be Kevin Shard. He hasn't, funny enough, he hasn't scored or assisted yet this season, which some people sort of laugh about. But even though he hasn't scored or assisted, out of all the players, he's probably been the brightest player since January, other than Tony. So his pace is electrifying. He is really quick. I think he could cause a lot of problems.
Yeah. I was going to ask you now. So that was what I was going to say. So what do you think happens? You let me know your formations. So we're expecting what, 2 up top? Did you say? So who would be the 2 that you'd play up top if it was your choice?
What, for Spurs or Brentford?
Brentford.
The front 2. What, for this Saturday? It'd be Shard and Mbumo.
Fair. Yeah. That's all I would have thought. I mean, ours is probably going to be the Kane, Son, Richarlison 3 as an attacking 3. It's most likely going to be Skip and Højbjerg in midfield. I mean, that's exciting, if you want to say. And then it depends because Ryan Mason changed it to a 4 the other day, and why not? Like, let's just give something a go. But for me, it will probably be he might go and do the same again. Go Porro, Royale, Romero, Longley, Davis, as long as Perisic isn't playing, I'll be happy. I think he's bang average and he's not very good. But yeah, so for me, I can't. It's a weird one because I can see us winning, but I also can see us losing because we lose games all the time. I mean, I can't. Someone in the chat will know how many games have we lost this season. I want to say it's 13 in the league. It's that bad. Genuinely, it's horrendous. But I can't wait for the season to be over. But so, do you guys think you're going to nick 7th place?
Well, since I said Tottenham will win this weekend, I guess the answer is no, because we need to win our last 2 games.
And you've got Man City last game of the season?
Yeah, Man City at home, who I just regard as not just because of last night, by the way. They're just the best. They are the best in the world by a mile.
The only benefit you have with the Man City one is hopefully by then this weekend the season's tied up and that they've got 2 big. So they might just go and field with a bunch of nobodies and then you go and beat them. That wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, hopefully they're in celebration mode. But
they're partying the league title.
There's absolutely no doubt we'll put up a fight and we'll put up a big fight. I've obviously mentioned about the front guys, but there are other players really coming into their element now as well. I mean, like Aaron Hickey at right back, he's going to be an unbelievable player, by the way. And many other players have come into form in the last few games as well. Anything could happen, but I'm more of a realist than a fantasist, so I'd probably say no. But
I mean, we've lost 14 games this season. It could be we've got to play you guys on the weekend, and we play Leeds, who are in a relegation fight on the final game of the season. I mean, it doesn't shock me if we get 0 points. Like genuinely, like, and we end up with 16 losses a season. Like that wouldn't surprise me one bit. Because as I said, the way we play, we're terrible. Like we are genuinely terrible. I just want to say, guys, by the way, thanks everyone in the chat and stuff. Keep your comments coming, blah, blah. If you haven't, please subscribe to the links below. YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Kenzima can be seen on Twitter. You're not on anything else, are you, my friend?
No, just Twitter.
Just Twitter rattling people, as I always see you do on Twitter, mate. So yeah, if you haven't, go subscribe to him at Kenzima on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe, follow that man on Twitter. Moving on to your manager, let's talk about Thomas Frank. So there were obviously reports that Spurs were linked with him during the week. There was a lot of talks that would happen. From what I gather, we're now in the process of talking to Arne Slot Feyenoord, who just won the Dutch league over Ajax. What are your thoughts if Spurs did go in for Thomas Frank, and would it be a good option?
I don't think so. I think again, come back to the same thing as I was talking about earlier. The thing is with a team like Brentford, and I always say Brighton because I like to think we're like twins. You're looking at a club that's glued from head to toe in what they want to do. And in Frank's case, you know, he's finely tuned with the director of football, the owner, the scouting system, and everything else. And it's because of that. That's why he's still Brentford manager. I mean, I've only got to go back when he was first hired. He actually lost 7 of his first 9 games. And everyone was. I remember
you in the group chat. You were Frank out. Remember?
You know, he then recovered it a bit, but even the start of the season when we lost in the playoff final, his first 10 games, I think he had lost 6 of those with, you know, a team that should have been clearly top 2 that season, but wasn't. And again, he could quite easily have lost his job there. The reason he did, because he was part of the structure and the team, but we're all bought into what they were trying to do. I think the issue with Frank is there's nothing wrong with his management style. He could do well elsewhere, but however, he would need time. And I just don't feel at a big club he's going to be given the time. And managing big players at Tottenham is a lot different to managing the players he inherited at Brentford and has built over years and years and years. I mean, that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing a team that he's built, being given time to build, and watch mature over 3-4 years now. Would he get instant success at Tottenham? No.
I don't think any manager gets instant success at Tottenham at the moment. Genuinely,
successful at Tottenham if he was given 2 or 3 years in the job. Yeah, he would be brilliant. But I couldn't see him surviving in that sort of culture. So but who would is the question. And there's only a handful of managers out there who can deal with those sort of environments. You're looking at the Peps, the Ancelotti. You know, I remember Hiddink back in the day was one of those as well. You know, it's a blimmin' tough job. I mean, even like to Conte, I thought Conte would probably crack it.
I think for us at the moment, man, Dan's got a good point here. He goes, be real though, if a big 6 team goes for Frank, he's in turn the opportunity. I don't think either of us are saying that, Dan, that he would turn it down. I think if Spurs offered him a job, I think he takes it. But I think the point is it's actually the bigger cycle. I think you have to also look around and go, look at Graham Potter as a great example. His stock was high at Brighton, went to Chelsea, and it didn't work out. Now what? Where would he go? He'll probably go and get a job on the sort of Brighton level, like, do you know what I mean? The sort of like the Fulhams and all that, like that sort of level in the Premier League. So realistically, he hasn't sort of progressed. He's not going to go and get I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Tottenham going for him. It genuinely wouldn't shock me. But my point being is in that sort of level, there's not many other big clubs that go in for Graham Potter right now. So, yes, I think these managers will take it. Why wouldn't you go and have the opportunity to go and manage a bigger club. But let's be honest, Tottenham's not an easy job. Tottenham is not an easy job at the moment because you need to get. There's not many that have got it right. We've had you could argue, two of the best managers in the world that hasn't worked for whatever reason. People have all different sort of theories about the whole Jose and Conte. I know there's so many that are so pro Conte and at the moment are so angry about it, which I get. I didn't enjoy the football. I get told on Twitter that I was the reason Conte got sacked. I love that one. I have no place. I wish I had that sort of power, but for me, I didn't enjoy his football. I thought it was drab, dreary, and I thought every time we lost a game of football, we'd just get this pantomime villain kind of anger on press conferences, which for the neutrals, everyone was loving. But I was sitting there going, oh, do I have to see this all the time? But I just, for me, I want the sort of the project and the build and the long term for me at the moment. I think there's a few managers that fit that. That's why I wanted Nagelsmann. I thought he would have been the right man, the right fit at the right age. He's a young manager that has managed quite highly up at Bayern Munich, Leipzig examples. And I thought we had a real opportunity there, but he's obviously said no to us, or we've not gone to him, which I don't really expect. I think it's probably the latter. I think he's wanted something and we've not been able to offer.
Yeah. I think in response to Dan A, by the way, my comment was sort of bitter comment about it. There's absolutely no doubt Frank would go to Tottenham if he got offered the job.
Yeah.
I just know fans wouldn't have the patience to go through that sort of cycle of him developing players. That's the one thing he will always say as well, Frank. He loves developing players. That's what he did.
Yeah.
For Brentford, he managed many youth teams, the Danish youth team, which is why he has that Danish connection. I'd also just like to say, by the way, big shout out to my sponsors, Pork Sport and Thatchers.
Oh, where are they?
So, yeah, cheers, guys, for everything you do. But yeah, back to you, Perch.
Oh God, honestly, the Pork Sports, unbelievable. You just took me on my train of thought. Mark, I wanted to answer your one here. Why would any top manager want to come to us? I'll tell you why. Money. I say this all the time. Everyone says, "Oh, like, what big manager will go to Spurs?" I said, "Trust me, they all will." And I said, because you get paid to do really nothing. You don't have to succeed at Tottenham at the moment, and it's considered a success. So as long as you get to the top four, that's success. Joe Conte got 15 million a year, and what's he realistically done apart from got us into the Champions League last season, and then this season got us dumped out to a bang average AC Milan team who got absolutely humiliated to Inter Milan this week, and it's like, well, I actually saw an interesting article, Perch, the other day. Now, I don't know how true this is. It's probably false, I'd imagine. But there was an article, I can't remember who wrote it, but it said Levy is going to approach Phil Giles, director of football, and the head of the scouting, I forget his name, the head of scouting for Brentford. Now, if you actually manage to do that, you've got a far better chance of being successsul with it. Because agreed,
you're getting a whole team of people in, but are all bought into one way and one way only.
Well, I agree. I said this. I said if it was me, I'd go to Brighton and say I'll have the whole lot. How much have I got to pay the whole lot? Or Brentford is another example as well. Can I have the whole lot? How much? It might cost me 50 million quid, but I'll have the whole lot. Whatever it's going to cost. And you're right. I think if you're going to do it, you do it as a group. You do get the collective in because it would benefit us at the moment. But yeah, we need. I'm hoping that the right change happens. Scott Munn is joining us, and the Australian bloke that was at the City Group that is now joining us as our sporting director or chief football officer or something, whatever the role is called. I haven't got a clue. But yeah, he's joining in the end of next month. So we need to have a real structure. Our problem is where do we go? I mean, Paratici, people loved him, but I thought he was really average and he was a bit of a dodgy dealer. I just don't. For Tottenham at the moment, I just don't see where we go at the moment. I think we haven't got a strategy for what happens after Harry Kane. We'll get on to that in a second. I was going to just ask your thoughts on that, because let's go for it now. So Harry Kane has had his today. He was at the his mural out. I'm assuming you're going to the game on Saturday, my friend.
Oh, absolutely.
So you can go and appreciate the Harry Kane mural.
Well, I was going to say, actually, I've got to go in 5 minutes because I'm doing a sponsored walk to Tottenham Stadium in a minute, leaving in 10 minutes. So you can get on my page, sponsor me if you like. It's going to be a long, how long is it going to take me? It's going to take me about a day and a half, 50 miles, doing it for a good cause. So make sure you get involved. But yeah, in terms of Harry
Are you
Kane,
actually?
Yeah. So
I can tell you, I feel like you're taking the mick right now.
No, so it's all been sponsored by our main sponsors, the Thatchers and Pork Sport.
I knew it was coming.
Pork Sport being a major sponsor for this walk, so please all get involved. It's all going to a good cause.
What's the cause?
The Pork Sport radio show. It's
there we go.
Yeah,
I was waiting for it.
But in terms of Harry Kane, what do I think? So,
does he go? Does he stay?
I personally think if I was that Levy right now, I would sell him. I would cash in and get that 100 million. How old's Harry Kane? 30, 31?
He'll be 30 in the summer.
I don't care what this is just my, this might come across a bit strong, but Harry Kane is not the player 2 or 3 years ago. He's a very good player, excellent player. He's the heartbeat of Tottenham, but you have to face it. He's not going to get any better. I think personally now would be the time to sell, to cash in, and actually start afresh without Harry.
Who to? The question is, it's easy to say sell, but who to?
Man United. Man United would be crazy enough to throw big money at someone like Harry Kane. And that,
what, a player with 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah, he would probably win him a trophy in the first year. I wouldn't be surprised, but you're looking at another Van Persie here, in my opinion. I do think he's coming towards the end of that dominance, and I think Spurs would do a brilliant thing in selling him and actually moving on. Because the other thing with Tottenham, your game is focused around Harry Kane, as you said, and at times I feel like with a club that has a centered focus around one player, it's only until you let that player go that you learn to sort of adapt to a new way of life, which tends to lead to a more attractive style of football.
Yep.
But I can't see. Well, I can see Tottenham doing it. Harry Kane doesn't sign a new contract, but I have a feeling at the same time he probably will sign a new contract. So, what do you think? So
I've been proper flip flop on this thing. So I go from one extreme to the other. I kind of think of it from Daniel Levy's perspective, because I actually think Daniel Levy's in a situation where he's in a lose-lose situation here. Realistically, he's in a lose-lose, because if let's hypothetically, Man United say, is 80 million quid, we want Harry Kane. It's 80 million quid for a player that's not signing a new contract. You'd be crazy not to take 80 to 100 million quid. You'd be absolutely mad. A 30-year-old with 1 year left on his contract. Then I think he keeps him for another year. He lets him go out on a free. Fans aren't going to necessarily complain. They get to see Harry Kane for another season. But we then don't get any money from him at the end of the season. So I sit and think, I've sat and thought about it twice. For me, I've kind of been on this fence of, I think we kind of need to let Harry Kane go. However much he's my favourite player, we kind of need to let him go and to sort of figure out how we're going to solve it without him. Don't mean trying to say I want him to go, because I don't. I genuinely don't want him to go. But I think I sit back and I think about it and I go, where do we go without Harry Kane? Because I can't see where we go. Richarlison's been spent. We've spent a lot of money on him. So you would already argue that Richarlison's going to be that man that will end up being his instant replacement. We're not going to go and sign a big name striker because we've got Richarlison. That worries me. He scored 1 goal all season. Where are our goals going to be? Without Harry Kane's goals this season, do you know where we would have been in the league? Genuinely.
Yeah. I mean, go on.
Yes. Where do you think Tottenham would have been this season without... If you took... I know it's not as simple as that, but if you took all of Harry Kane's goals away this season, where would Spurs be in the league?
16th.
15th.
Yeah, but I always think when people use that one, I see what you mean, and people would say that Tony, take away Tony's goals and you'll be relegated or something.
Yeah, I get the hypothetical. I mean, because obviously players like Richarlison would play more, so realistically he would probably score more goals, and other players will. But it's more the sense of how good Harry Kane is compared to everybody else in the team.
Yeah. But you know what, like, again, go back to sort of the models of the clubs you're saying you'd love to see yourself replicate. If you want to replicate it, you'll sell Harry Kane this summer.
No, agreed. That's why I said I actually think we need to. But for me, the biggest problem we have at the moment at Tottenham is I don't know what the answer is my point. Because whereas my point being is flip it onto you guys for a second. If you sold Ivan Toney, ignore the ban for 2 seconds. If you sold Ivan Toney in the summer, I think you would be confident that your club will go and sign the replacement ready to go in straight away. I don't have that same confidence at Tottenham. So I get your point. Selling Harry Kane benefits us because we can get 100 million quid. Keep it simple at that figure. But I don't trust Tottenham to go and sign a goal scorer that will score half of what he gets.
You say that we would buy a player who's, you know, ready to go into the first team, but they wouldn't set the world alight. They would have they would need to. I mean, if I think of someone like Tony, when we first signed him, a Brentford fan called Alex Stone famously said he was rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
He's rubbish, and he'll only ever score a tap in, and that's it. And actually, after 5 or 10 games, after having that development, in quite a quick time, he soon became an unbelievable striker, and he's got better and better since. So yeah.
I get that. I definitely get that. I completely understand that, and I'm so divided. At 1 minute I go, he's gonna, and I just sitting back and I think if we get rid of, I don't think we will get rid of Harry Kane now. I kind of just think. The mural, I know it sounds really silly and stupid, but we've erected a mural up on one of the buildings at Tottenham today. I think it was unveiled. He was there today, signing and stuff with all-time top goal scorer and all that. And I just think, I mean, it would be very Spurs to then him to go at the end of the season with that erected up. I don't know. Maybe that's just me overthinking stuff, but. I don't want him to go, but I do understand the benefits maybe for him to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, it's an attachment thing, isn't it?
Of course.
Player, but that's the thing. Football, the clubs that run well don't run it with emotions. They run it like a proper business, and you know, to run it like a business, you have to make those tough decisions to get rid of your best players, like Harry Kane, at the right time.
Yeah,
And the question is, can Spurs? It's all right, Spurs fans saying we want to be like a Brighton, we want to be like a Brentford, but are you prepared to have those moments where you sell your best players at a big price? Because what you're going to do with that money over the next 3 or 4 years is going to see the club advance even further. It's a big step to take, and I can't see a club like Tottenham just turning into that club overnight. And I can't see.
Agreed.
The biggest block of that of all is the fans.
Yeah,
and that's not the fans' fault. It's just natural for fans to want instant success.
But
you know, it's a real tricky one. I've got to shoot off perch. The crowd have arrived and the walk is starting. So
you're such a liar. You actually got to go though.
I'd like to say up the Spurs. You know.
Do you want to say that? Have you got Jen? You got to go.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. We've done an hour. That's brilliant.
I put £5 in the slot for an hour of broadband, but I've got 9 seconds.
Listen, mate. You'll have to come onto the show another time. Definitely. We've got to do something again. We'll do over. I'm thinking of trying to work some stuff out over the summer and stuff, and maybe get a little bit of a game show sort of thing going on it. And it'd be definitely great to have you on.
Yeah, definitely.
You got Ryan Howell saying, "What a rubbish guest."
Yeah, apparently
Nick's a Bracknell fan. Well, that's true.
Ryan apparently Ryan Howe supports this team called, I think they're called Sandhurst, but they play in Bracknell. Oh no, wait, sorry, I got that the wrong way round. They're called Bracknell and Sandhurst. Absolute terrible team. They've got one good player, and that's it. All right. Catch you later.
Terrible. Listen, guys, we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap up shortly. Nick, before you do go, Ken, Nick, whatever you want to call yourself. Score prediction now. Go.
2-0 Brentford.
Oh, you see, he's changed his tune from earlier. He said they're going to lose. I'm going to say Spurs win 2-1. Harry Kane gets a couple. Guys, we'll leave it at that. I'm going to and guys, if you haven't, please subscribe. Well, I think we're up to 575. So if 25 of you that are in here, hit the subscribe if you haven't. It'll be great because I want to try and hit to 600 before the end of the week. Awesome. Alex has just gone up the Hurst as well. So I'm going to leave you at that. Thatchers. Big up the Thatchers. We love them. Guys, massive shout out. Thank you so much. Love everyone in the chat. It's been a good laugh. And Nick, I'll catch you in a bit, my friend. Peace out. Yeah.